I have had lots and lots of requests for this video. What do different fishing lines look like under different conditions? I tested monofilament, fluorocarbon, braid, and then clear blue mono, as well as lo-vis green mono. I also made sure to do this test under sunny conditions, cloudy conditions, shallow and deep, plus something interesting happened you'll want to stick around for. Now here are the rigs that I used for this test. For this one, the mono is on the left and the fluoro is on the right. I have them marked with the different pound test at the top for you. The second rig has the braid on the right and then the lo-vis green and clear blue on the left. Now let's go ahead and start in the cloudy water, looking out from under a dock into the bay. The sky was cloudy in this situation. As you can see, both the mono and the fluoro here are very hard to see with our eyes. Now we know bass are likely to see this differently, but we can still make some deductions based on what we are seeing here. And like I said, this is from under a dock and looking out. The braid rig with the clear blue and lo-vis green looks about what you would expect it would in the shallow, slightly cloudy water with a cloudy sky. Now let's get to some clear water with the sun out and shallow. I hung this rig over the side of the boat and it is about 2 feet deep. Now at first it looks like both the mono and fluoro are pretty hard to see, but when I move the camera to a different angle, suddenly we can see the monofilament quite easily. Even the 6-pound test is able to be distinguished from the background. Now, could the light reflecting off the PVC be causing this? Definitely a possibility. But the interesting thing to note is I couldn't seem to make it happen when looking at the fluorocarbon line from an angle. Now, here's the mono and fluoro rig in deeper water. I dropped this down to the 10-foot mark. With the light starting to rapidly diffuse at this depth, both the mono and fluoro are hard to see. When we switch over to the rig with the braid and clear blue and lo-vis green monofilament, obviously we can see the braid easily, but it is interesting to note that the 8-pound braid is much harder to pick out than I thought it would be. The lo-vis green and clear blue monofilaments are very hard to detect, if at all, with these conditions. Now it is also interesting to note that the Zebco Outcast was the only clear blue line I could find at any of the stores near me. Remember back some years when it seemed like there was clear blue monofilament everywhere? Definitely not the case anymore, at least around here. It must not be selling all that well. Now, when we take this same rig and drop it to the 10-foot mark, it looks very similar. The braid is still extremely easy to pick out, but not the monofilament on the other side. Now, back to that interesting moment I told you about. While filming in the cloudy water shallow, a curious bass came to check things out. Well, right away when the darker body of the bass got behind the line, it could suddenly be seen. That made me go back out and test the mono and fluoro rig with some darker backgrounds instead of positioning the camera just under the dock and looking out. I positioned the camera both looking into the sun and then with the sun behind it and placed the rig with vegetation in the background both times. And in both situations, with the darker background, the line could be seen. Even the harder to detect fluorocarbon had moments where it was noticed. Now when I laid the rig along the lake bed, suddenly all 12 lines on this rig could be seen. Mono, fluoro, it didn't matter, and it's important to note the sun was out here. Even the 6-pound was easily picked out. Now of course when the camera is farther away, the line is basically undetectable to our human eyes. So, what are some takeaways? Well, fluoro definitely proved, like it is advertised, that it is more undetectable or blends in better than monofilament does. But honestly, I was quite impressed with the mono. Even the heavier line did better and stayed concealed more than I thought it would. Now, knowing that fluorocarbon is getting crazy expensive, braid to a leader is a great option for lots of situations. And I've been using a much longer leader recently than I have in the past, and it has been doing very well for me. I start off with a piece at least the length of the rod. Now granted, you need a really nice small connecting knot. Now the million-dollar question, are the bass line shy? Well, there are some pro anglers that strongly believe the bass are not. Then of course there are plenty that want their line to be as invisible as possible. Well, no matter where you fall on that debate, I do hope that this video gives you some information that you can use and find useful. And hey, if you want to watch a video on why the wacky rig is so effective based on a bass behavior, go ahead and check this one out right here, and make sure that you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.